It was almost midnight when I finally decided to speak the truth, even if no one was really listening. Sometimes, when the world is quiet and the only sound is the hum of the ceiling fan above my bed, I feel like I can open my chest and pour my secrets out without judgment. So if you're here, lying in the dark, maybe this will sound less like a story and more like a whisper one that you might relate to in ways you never expected. I married Daniel 7 years ago. Back then, I believed love was enough to keep two people faithful. I believed in all the things people tell you at weddings, the promises, the vows, the way you think you'll never look at anyone else the same way once you've said, I do. And for a while, it really felt like that. He was my best friend, my safe place, the person who could make me laugh even when I wanted to cry. But love has a way of changing when life gets heavy. And ours did, slowly, almost without me noticing. Daniel worked long hours, always tired, always distracted. I told myself he was just providing for us, that his exhaustion was proof of how much he cared. But the more he buried himself in work, the more I buried myself in silence. I started to feel invisible, like a piece of furniture in our house, familiar but ignored. I'd buy new dresses, cook his favorite meals, try to surprise him with affection, but his eyes were glued to his phone, to emails, to the endless grind that seemed more important than me. It's a cliche, isn't it? A lonely wife waiting for her husband to notice her again. But cliches exist for a reason. They're common because they're real. The night everything changed, it wasn't planned. I wasn't searching for danger or betrayal. It was a Friday evening, and I'd gone out with coworkers for drinks, something I rarely did. I was just tired of waiting at home for Daniel, who had texted me earlier that he'd be late again. At the bar, surrounded by music and chatter, I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. And then there was him, Ethan, He wasn't extraordinary in a way that strangers notice. He wasn't the kind of man who filled the room with charm, but he looked at me like I was visible, like I wasn't just air. His smile was warm, patient, almost curious. When he asked me questions, he actually listened, not just nodded while thinking of something else. That night, I laughed so much my cheeks hurt, and for the first time in years, I felt like a woman again, not just a wife or a ghost in my own marriage. I could tell you I resisted, but I pushed him away, but that would be a lie. Because deep down, I wanted it. I wanted to feel desired, wanted to feel touched by someone who wasn't too tired to look at me. So when Ethan walked me to my car and brushed my hair out of my face, I let him. When his lips pressed against mine, I didn't pull away. My heart raced, not with guilt yet, but with hunger. That kiss should have been the end. But of course it wasn't. It became the beginning of something I swore I would never do. Ethan and I started meeting in secret. Coffee shops at first, then hotel rooms. We told ourselves it was just chemistry, just fun, but every time we were together, it felt like I was peeling off layers of myself that had been asleep for years. With him, I wasn't Daniel's wife. I wasn't the forgotten woman waiting in bed for a husband who never came home. I was alive, reckless, breathing fire, but the truth about cheating is it's never just about passion. It's about filling the cracks in your soul. And the more cracks you have, the deeper you fall. At night, lying next to Daniel, I'd stare at his profile, at the way his chest rose and fell with each breath, and I'd wonder when we lost each other. I'd wonder if he was cheating too, if his late nights were just as dirty as mine. But then he'd roll over, mumble something about a meeting, and I'd feel the ache of guilt clawing at me. I still loved him in a way. I still wanted him to notice me. But every day that passed, I felt myself drifting further away from the woman who once promised forever. The affair went on for months. I thought I was careful deleted texts, fake names in my phone, excuses that rolled off my tongue too easily. But secrets have a way of seeping out, no matter how tightly you try to lock them. One night, Daniel asked me why I smelled like cologne. I froze. I laughed it off, blamed it on a hug from a friend at work. He didn't push, but his eyes stayed on me longer than usual, suspicious, wounded. Asterisk, that look haunted me. It was the face of a man who had loved me once, maybe still did, and I was stabbing him blind. That night, when he fell asleep, I cried silently into my pillow, Ethan's touch still fresh on my skin. That was the first time I asked myself if the thrill was worth the destruction I was building. Asterisk. You think you can separate love and betrayal, but you can't. They bleed into each other until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. Asterisk. Then came the night it all collapsed. Daniel came home early. I was in the shower, humming, and when I stepped out, he was sitting on the edge of the bed with my phone in his hand. He had read everything. The messages, the photos, the confessions of lust I had poured into texts like a teenager in love. His face was pale, broken, as if the ground had shifted beneath him. I opened my mouth to explain, to beg, but what excuse could I give? But I was lonely, that he worked too much, that I still loved him but not enough to stay loyal. Asterisk, he didn't yell. He didn't throw anything. He just looked at me with eyes so hollow it felt like I had murdered something precious. Why? He asked. Just one word, and I had no answer that could heal what I had done. Asterisk, the silence after that was worse than any screaming. Asterisk, for weeks. We lived like strangers. He slept on the couch, barely spoke to me, and when he did, his voice carried the weight of someone who had been betrayed in the deepest way. I ended things with Ethan immediately, blocked him, erased every trace, but it was too late. You can delete the man, but not the sin. Asterisk, people think cheating is just about sex, but it's not. It's about shattering trust, about taking something sacred and dirtying it until it can never be clean again. I saw that every time Daniel looked at me with eyes that no longer held love, just emptiness. Asterisk, it's been a year since that night. We're still together, technically. We go through the motions, dinners, family gatherings, polite smiles, but something is gone. Maybe forever. He doesn't hold me the way he used to, and I don't look at him without seeing the reflection of my betrayal, staring back at me. Asterisk sometimes. Lying awake, I wonder if I regret it. The answer isn't simple. I regret the pain I caused him, the part of myself I destroyed, but I don't regret feeling alive. That's the part no one admits out loud. Cheating made me realize I was drowning, and even though I chose the wrong lifeline, at least I surfaced long enough to breathe. Asterisk, maybe one day Daniel will forgive me. Maybe he won't. Maybe I'll carry this guilt like a stone in my pocket for the rest of my life. But tonight, as I whisper this story into the dark, I want you to know that love is fragile, marriage is complicated, and desire can burn holes through even the strongest vows. Asterisk, if you take anything from my confession, let it be this. Cheating isn't glamorous. It isn't the thrill of movies or the sweet escape of romance novels. It's messy, it's destructive, and it leaves scars that never fully fade. And yet, it's also human. People stray not always because they stop loving, but because they stop feeling seen. Asterisk, I was one of those people. And this is my truth, whispered to you in the quiet of the night.